Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is the day that you're watching this. We've done a few of these videos now, and as you can see, we've now got Richie Ramsay, European Tour player, who's joining us today. Richie and we've crossed paths a few times recently because Richie comes down and pops into the shop and plays at Brunsfield every now and then, has a bit of a practice because he likes hitting off turf, I believe. So yeah, he's popped into the shop, we've had many chats, so just for most people know Richie, he's a successful European Tour player, but let me just read a little bit. Richie, you are 3 times European Tour winner, 2 times Challenge Tour winner, former #1 in the world amateur rankings. You've won 3 national amateur events, the Scottish, the Irish, and the US. You've won loads of team honours. When you eventually retire, you can look back on it and say, that's some serious sense of achievement you've done there. So my first question to you, Rich, is this. What has given you that success? Is it your pure natural talent? Is it a mental approach? What do you think has given you that success over the years so far?
Good question. It's probably tough to put it on one particular thing. I'd probably break it down to probably 3 things. Break it down to. I'm a big believer in nature nurture. So, like, I believe that everybody has a talent. Doesn't matter what it is. It might be playing a guitar, it might be singing, it might be being good at business. Mine, I feel I was given the ability to play golf, but that only took me to a certain level, and I just felt that the nurture part then kicked in, and when I started to nurture it and develop it and work really hard and have a good work ethic, it sounds funny, but like time management, sacrificing what you have to do outside, like when you're younger, being headstrong, knowing what you want to accomplish, setting yourself goals, all that kind of stuff really helped me. And so probably those 2, nature, nurture, and probably the third thing was just my mental approach. I've always been very determined to be successful in whatever I do. So whatever I set my mind to, I fall into it 100%, and start off with the belief that I can get there. It's going to be really hard, and nothing tends to get in my way. I just said, it's not that I'm dismissive of other people's opinions or what they think. I set myself a goal, and I'm quite kind of headstrong. I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish that goal. So from that perspective, and I've been that way since I've been very young, like 12, 13, I knew I was that way. So it's not something that I've developed, I've always had it. And that's something probably I learned from my parents a little bit.
Okay, so you were obviously a really talented golfer when you were younger. You grew up in Aberdeen. Royal Aberdeen is one of your favourite, if not the favourite golf course that you have. So when you went through as a youngster, you were, as I say, very successful. But take me back to something which was probably a kickstart in your career, and everybody knows about it, or should do, was winning the US Amateur. I mean, I remember watching it on the telly thinking, this is phenomenal. How can somebody from Scotland win this in that era? Take us back to then, and what was your thought process? You were playing well up until then because you'd won a couple of events. You played in the Walker Cup the year before. Tell us about that week.
So it was first of all, it was a really good trip. We had we played a golf tournament the week before, so it was like myself, Ollie Fisher, Lloyd Saltman, Rhys Davis, Rob DeMoody was there, David Skins was there. So like we had a good group of GB&I guys, and it was quite good because we were all from different, like England, Scotland, but it was like a team. It was like we were kind of there as a team, so it was a really good like atmosphere. Everybody was traveling together, always had guys to chat to, and so I think that was an added benefit. It felt like you were away, but you were at home. We put up in a host family's house, and they were exceptional. The Bullers, they were really nice. So me and It just happened that me and Ollie were the two in their house. And I was playing good. It was the middle of our season, middle of August, and if anybody doesn't know the US Amateur, it's very similar to the British Amateur, where you start off and you have whatever 150 guys, and you have to get into the match play. So to get in the match play, you need to finish, I think, top 64, and then obviously you play match play from there. So I got in there quite comfortably. I think like mid-20s, and it was kind of one of those things where you got to pace yourself. You don't know how you're gonna, where the number is going to be, but I made the number with quite a few shots to spare. And then every match I played, it was like, feel good, won the match. Okay, on to tomorrow, right? Feel good, let's go out, play good again, won the match. And then I got to the point where I was 64, 32, 16, so 16, 8, 4 final. So I was like 4 matches to go to win. And I just thought to myself, like, I'm playing good. If I want to win this, all I have to do is win 4 matches in the spin. It's quite simple. So I was like, because I don't need to do anything with my game. I just need to keep a good attitude and win 4 matches in the spin. Doesn't matter who it's against, I can beat them. And the course that week set up really well for me because it was almost like a major championship setup. The rough was really thick. The greens were pretty quick, and if you missed the fairway, it was kind of like hit a wedge, and you got a knock up there. So you had to actually build your score, and ball striking was at a premium, which always plays into my hands. And then I just played really, really good. But with any, I'm also a big believer that with any time you win a tournament, there's a time where you get a little bit of luck. So my little bit of luck was I was playing Ricky Fowler in the quarterfinals, and I hold about a 6-footer on 18 for half down the last. We got 10, and it's a short par 4 around the corner. Both hit good drives, both hit really nice shots. And I think I hit a first shot in and I hit about 12 feet, and it's kind of like a wedge, but it's downhill and the wind moves around, so it's quite a tricky shot. He knocks it in there like 7 feet. I'm like, oh, right, okay. I had a great putt, shaves the edge, misses the edge. Standing at the side of the green, I'm like, okay, hats off. I'm like, this is it. Just expecting the hole. He hits it, hits the edge, spins out. I'm like, oh, I'm still in this. So that was my little bit of luck. We ended up parring the next. I birdied a hole of 20-footer on 12, which was our 3rd playoff hole. And I played Webb Simpson in the semis and then went on to the final. So that was my little bit of luck. And when I got that, it kind of, instead of being shook by it, it reinstalled that belief that I was like, that this may be my time. This is like the little bit of luck that I need. And then really, really nervous because it started to, obviously when you start to get into the final, people start to pay attention a little bit more to you. You want to do interviews and what's your background, and I was probably a little bit unheard of in America. Anyway, I was just like, stick to my guns, do everything, all that. And I remember turning up to the golf course, doing all my preparation, really good. Stood on the range, was hitting balls, and the guy who I was playing wasn't there. And it's like 30 minutes till we tee off. So I don't know what he was doing, but straight away I'm like, feel like I'm one up here. And I listened to the same song, Snow Patrol song, every time I walked from the range to the first tee. And it was in my head, and it was like, just like feel good. Like what, took the earphones out, right, game face on. And to this day, I've had a lot of pressure situations since, but to this day, I would say it's the best I played at the time to my ability. Like I've got so much more ability now than I had then. But that day, the execution of my shots under the pressure, because it was like 5,000 people, 6,000 people out watching, was brilliant. Like I just ground them down, missed 3 2 fairways and something like 3 greens and 34 holes, and it's
So
a long.
it's a 36-hole final, and you got up quite early. You made a number of birdies early doors, didn't you?
Yeah. I got up early, which was important. It set the tone, and he was a big guy. He hit it a long way, like properly hit it long way. Even these days, like he would hit it. You know, he was flying at 300. But I was just like, you know what, you can fly at 300. I'm just going to hit it um, down the fairway whole day. And I thought to myself, it's going to give me the opportunity to go in first to the greens. So I looked at it instead of a weakness. I looked at it as an opportunity, and I just ground them down with all my shots, my shot making. I didn't hole like a ton of putts, but I didn't have to because my ball striking was that good. And every shot that hit the green is like more pressure, and he felt he had to make birdies in order to win holes, which around that golf course wasn't that easy.
So when you ended up winning that, you instantly would have realised that that's going to get you into a couple of majors.
Yeah.
As long as you don't turn pro instantly. But that's, as an amateur, that gets you into a couple of pretty significant majors. You have played all 4 majors now, Rich.
Yeah.
In your opinion,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best major to play in?
Well, they're all great. And I love the Open. I really love the Open, going there as a kid and stuff like that. But the Master stands out so much because it's the one that you can't, like, it's kind of like almost like it's in a fairy tale land. When you're a little kid, you're like, oh, it looks amazing on TV, but I'll never get to go there. I'll never get to see it. And I was one of these kids who used to, tell your mum and dad, yeah, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. Like 20 minutes later, after they thought you were asleep, you get your TV on in your room, watch it, and you'd watch it till whatever it was, 1 or 2 in the morning. So I just love the Masters. I love everything about it. I love the golf course, the beauty of the place, the kind of the way they hold the tradition, but everything runs seamlessly. So I really, for me, it was Augusta, and I was almost probably because of the golf course. The Open's a special tournament, and particularly for me when it's in Scotland, and probably particularly when it's at St Andrews. But the Masters is just so cool. I just loved every minute of it.
It's really interesting because I asked Martin Dempster the same sort of question from a reporter's point of view. Exactly the same answer. Exactly the same as you said. It was a bit of a fairy tale. It's like a fairground for golfers. He said it was just phenomenal. What he also said is, and I've heard this a lot from people that have played it, the undulations aren't visible on the telly. What holes on it are more undulating than they visually appear on the telly?
There's also ones at like 10, and at 11 they're going downhill. The ones you don't really realize are holes like 2. Like 2 is down a severe slope. So to give you an example of 2, it's probably the same. It kind of goes down a little gradient, and then it gets to a point where there's a bunker about 300 yards, and it really goes down. It's kind of not far off like playing the second at Huddersfield. That kind of level of steepness. Then the ones you forget about are holes like, it's tucked away. You don't get to see it that much. Is number 5. Right. So number 5, you play up a hill, and they've actually, since I've played it, they've bought houses outside of the property and a road, and they've moved a road to allow a tee to go 50 yards back.
Wow.
So it's even more uphill now, and you get to kind of, it plateaus out at about, again, 300 yards, and then you can't see it because of the elevation, but it's quite flat, and then suddenly there's just this raised green out of nowhere, and it's you can be going in there with a 4-iron. I mean, it's a really, really tough hole. And then because you've kind of slowly but surely climbed up, the 6th hole is like, it's really far downhill. Again, it's probably plays similar to, I'm trying to think of a hole at Bruntsfield, similar to the tee shot on 11. that kind of level. If you had a green where the fairway starts,
right,
and the patrons sit underneath it, so because you don't really get to see a lot of the front nine. So a lot of the slope is on the front nine, and particularly the last hole. It plays 10 yards up from the tee to the fairway, and it's 12 yards up from the fairway to the green. So it's the same as playing the ninth hole, really, at Bruntsfield. You would hit, and it goes straight up the hill,
right.
which is you can't really see. And the green sort of, although there's spectators there, when you play normally, it's just cut grass everywhere, and then this green sits in the middle, and when you're looking from the clubhouse, all you see really is a flag stick and just perfectly mown grass. So yeah, there's lots of different changes in that.
So we've heard today that the Masters are planning to move from the 9th to the 15th of November, and unfortunately the Open will not be played this year. We're all a bit disappointed about that as golf fans, whether you're playing in it or not playing it or whatever. From your perspective, it's a bit disappointing, but I think you probably agree it's the right thing to do. And we don't even know if the Masters is going to get played in November. But what's your view on that with regards to the cancellation and postponements?
I think the RNA had a really tough decision. Their window to play the tournament is smaller than others because you've got weather. And the other thing is, what a lot of people don't realise is that, you know, the infrastructure goes up so early these days for the tournaments. And with big tournaments like that, there's so many things that need to be in place. So you have to really make an early call on it to be fair to all parties that are involved in the Open. And I'm talking about sponsors, I'm talking about corporate, I'm talking about players, caddies, you know, everybody. Just think about all the people who've got contracts to deal with, cleaning up, everything like that. And I think it was the only real choice they had. I don't think they really had another choice. We're in unprecedented times, and the health and the safety of people is paramount, and I'm sure they took the best advice, and the only obvious thing was to cancel it. The other one,
totally agree. We've had a few discussions in the shop before about the distribution of wealth on the tours. It seems a bit ridiculous to people who are not on tours, people who watch it on the telly. For instance, the FedEx Cup, the guy that wins $7.5 million throughout the year gets to win another $15 million for winning the FedEx Cup, and it's similar, $2 million for winning the race to Dubai. What is your view on the distribution of wealth amongst specifically the European tour?
I think just over the years, top players have more power and more value associated to them because of, whether that be because of social media or media in general, and the amount of pool they have. They're not just a star in like Britain or Europe. They're global superstars. You know, Rory McIlroy is a face that's recognised around the world. So the value and the difference they make to, Rory plays a tournament in, say, Abu Dhabi. So suddenly then the advertisers get more views. The US media cover it because Rory's playing. Ticket sales go up, corporate sales go up. So there's a knock-on effect, and those guys command higher fees or get paid more for that. And I think it's just a case of the power that they have is shown in what they get, in the amount of money they get. Now, some people argue whether they get more than their value or less than their value. I think a lot of the time it's very individual for different people. Tiger, for instance, the difference he makes to a tournament is massive. So I would almost argue it's to pay him $3 million to turn up is actually probably get the value out of that. But the distribution is heading more and more towards the top end, and that's because sponsors turn up to a tournament, or they want to sponsor a tournament and say, well, who are you going to get to play? I want the big names, and then they command a fee for that, and then if you win, obviously, you get a lot of money for that. And I think there's a competition with, talk of the Premier Golf League, the European Tour, and the PGA Tour. And they want the best players playing against each other as much as possible. And money is part of sport. And, when you've got competition, it drives the price up.
Fair enough. Good answer. Very diplomatic answer as well, Rich. I like that. There was an article just the other day on in Scotland on Sunday regarding your interest in golf course architecture.
Yeah.
It was a very good article. You state that you sit and watch Google every night. I don't know if you do it every night, but you sit and have a little look at different areas within Scotland which may be good for golf course. You've been to Brunsfield. You've played Brunsfield a few times since we've had the changes.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite hole on Brunsfield? Do you have a favourite hole, if it's whether it's old or new? What is your favourite hole around Brunsfield?
I think it has a lot of good holes. I think the best way of describing Brunsfield is Colt describes Swinley Forest, or Harry Colt used to describe Swinley Forest. It was his favourite golf course. It's the least bad course that he designed. And the one thing I would say about Brunsfield is, or a lot of golf courses, it's not good. It's not how strong your good holes are, it's how strong your bad holes are. So I would probably say, either for me personally, I would say probably 2 or 17. I like 2 strong, okay. But at the same time, when you think about it, there's I'm thinking through all the holes, and I'm like, well, that's there's not really a bad hole. There's not many bad holes on it, if any. And I think that's the biggest thing about the golf course, is that there's lots of strong holes, but there isn't really one where you think, oh, well, that's a really poor hole. Obviously, there's changes in elevation that you have to do to maneuver the golf course around it. It's difficult to make 9 because you've got to get back up there. But I think the biggest thing that stands out is that the fact that there is not many poor holes on the golf course, but 2 and 17 are 2 that I really like.
Okay. I've got a question from Sandy Reid, who's our junior convener. You were going to be doing a junior, a little bit of junior coaching, but unfortunately it was cancelled. We couldn't do it. So Sandy asked me to ask you this specific question, which was, what is your distribution of time spent on long game, short game, putting, and has that changed as you become a professional tour player from when you were a junior?
It definitely moved towards a lot more putting. It's becoming harder and harder to do. I'm of the belief that although the stats back up the importance of putting, ball striking is important, but Scottish players are generally good ball strikers because you have to be because of the conditions, but maybe not so good on the greens. So spending more time on the greens, particularly chipping, and this is going to sound funny, but one of the reasons why I like playing Brunsfield is it's not a links course. We don't play a lot of links golf, and so chipping around the greens, especially when the greens are good come May time, and there's a little bit of rough around there, it's more similar when I go out and tour if I play Brunsfield. So chipping and putting is massive, but technique is really important as well. So it's kind of trying to find a balance, and you really need to set yourself a goal, whatever that may be. but you need to be able to measure where you're starting. So some people are really good putters, but their ball striking is poor. So it's different for everybody. But my amount of time and my amount of effort has definitely gone more into chipping and putting the older I get, because I feel my ball striking is pretty good. The one thing I do spend quite a bit of time on with ball striking would be short irons. So the scoring area is like 8, 9, pitch and wedge. Because I feel that my driver is good and my 3-wood, I don't have any problems with any of that.
Okay. I've got 3 more questions, which are pretty much quick fire questions. Who's the biggest character on tour, in your opinion?
There's a lot of guys that are good characters. I would say, and there's some great characters in the caddies. Like Mick Donachie, guys for Tirrahat, and he's brilliant. But probably Jamie Donaldson. Jamie Donaldson's just bananas. He's always fun to play with. He's always makes you laugh, and he's just 100 miles an hour, and he's a really funny guy.
Brilliant. Who's your closest friend on tour?
I'd probably say I spend a lot of time. Well, you spend a lot of time by yourself out there on tour, but I spend 6 hours a day with my caddy Guy, and I'd probably say, you might not say this, but I get along with him pretty good. I think I respect him and he respects me, and I think we work well together. And I think to spend 6 hours a day with someone, or spend 6 hours a day with me, that's probably a challenge in itself. So probably get along with him, probably best.
Brilliant. A last question. In your opinion, who is the greatest ever golfer?
It's a really tough question. My answer is probably slightly swayed because of the era that I played. I never played back. But you've got to look at Nicklaus, you've got to look at Tiger, and it's between the two. But for me, I played during the time when Tiger was just coming to the end, and the guys he played against, he would dust them by like 10 shots, and they'd come over to Europe and they'd win. And I would think, God, they must be seriously good players, but they're going over, and he's not having any problems taking care of them. And the amount of tournaments he won and the way he won them, I've got to say Tiger. Just when you look back at his record now, it stands out a mile compared to anybody else. And the level of competition, it's just, I think when Nicklaus played this, I would say the depth, the talent, the upper echelon was still really good, but the depth wasn't there, I don't think.
So Tiger Woods for you?
Yeah, it had to be, yeah.
Good man. Richie, that's been really, really good. I've really enjoyed speaking to you. I'm sure the members at Brunsfield will be saying the same. We'll get this sent out to them. Thank you very, very much. Good luck with the rest of the season, if there is such a thing as the rest of a season. Keep in touch, keep popping into Brunsfield and coming down for a practice and stuff. You'll always be welcome. So thank you very much, and stay safe. Cheers, Rich.
No problem. Looking forward to getting back down there soon, hopefully.
Good man. Take care.
Thanks.